Well, hello friends, welcome to another video. Today is all about the Christmas tree. All the details, all my best tips and tricks, and I'm hoping that you can come away with some practical tips that'll help elevate your tree this year. So, without further ado, number one, know your tree. Why is this so important? Because knowing your tree is not just going to determine how many ornaments and picks and sprays you use, but also how you put them on your tree. Now, the kind and style of tree that you're going to use is totally personal preference. However, I think there's two really important things to look out for and to know about. The first thing that really matters to me is the style of the tips of the branches. There have been a ton of trees made now that have these really stiff outer branches that also are made more with a plasticky material. So first off, these trees look more authentic and more real. But second, that extra stiff wire in them allows you to hang heavy ornaments even on the far tips of the branches. And this is so important from a designer perspective because this is going to help give you depth and dimension when you decorate. The second thing is the shape of the tree. So, did you know there's like totally such a thing as like a decorator's tree? I know, who knew? I basically learned about that this year. A decorator's tree is essentially the kind of tree that looks really sparse and spiky. Like you kind of look at this and you go, who would want to decorate with that? But the whole point of these trees is that they give you extra space to stuff stuff in. That's the whole idea. Now, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum is the kind of tree that I think most people have in their house. These are usually more slim, they're more full. And the benefit of these trees is that when you unpack them out of the box every year, they already look full. You're not looking at this going, well, that looks weird. Neither is right or wrong, but it's good to know which you have because this is going to impact how you decorate. For me, for instance, I like a tree that's kind of in between, and this is what I have. So you'll see in the center of the tree, it does look quite full, and I've even this year put my tree in front of a window, and even so, I'm not super mad about all the holes, which I really think is quite impressive. But you can also see how the style of this tree is such that the tips of the branches do give off this sort of soft, airy, and fluffy look, and I'm totally going to take advantage of that this year when I decorate, and that is going to really help me get what I'm going for, and that is like maximum fluff.
He's so fluffy, I'm gonna die!
So if you do not have a tree that has these extra stiff branches on the tips, here's what I'd recommend. You're going to want to kind of form a hook at the top of your large stems like this, and then you're going to want to put these in your tree kind of with a hook, and then these stems you're going to want to sort of angle downwards, and you will be able to create this really beautiful tapestry with all of your picks and stems and very much create the same look if you want, but I'm going to use a slightly different technique when I put my picks and stems in my tree because I have these stiff branches. Oh, and please fluff your tree while we're here. Look, I know you don't want to do it. I hardly want to do it every year, but if you don't fluff your tree, like, what's the point? Start with your topper. There's two reasons for this. The first is if you decorate all the rest of your tree, all the parts that are easy to access, and then you wait till the top, you run the risk of, as you're clambering over everything, literally messing up everything that you just did. And that would be a travesty. We want to avoid that. So, start with the top of your tree. It'll save you a massive headache, I promise. The second reason, and this keys into our designer stuff, is because the top of the tree can act as a little capsule for the direction that you want to go. So instead of decorating the whole tree and then standing back and looking at it and being like, oh, something looks a little off, decorate the top of the tree, analyze that, make sure you get it exactly how you like it, you combine all the things you want, you take out the things you realize maybe those actually just don't work this year, and then you copy that and you spread that down as you decorate the rest of the tree. So start with the top of the tree. It's going to make your life so much easier. Step number 3 is to start with your big items first. I think for a lot of people, this is going to be your ribbon. Well, actually, surprisingly, I did add ribbon to my tree this year, which shocked everyone, including myself, because I normally don't do that. My big item that I added this year were these big ball clusters. And the reason why you want to start with these big items first, I think it's pretty obvious, but you're just not going to end up with enough room at the end if you wait till the end. So you've got to do this first.
Now, while we're on the point of ornament clusters, since I know they're super popular this year, I recommend doing this by making these tiny ornament clusters first. Each cluster should have around 5 ornaments or so, and bonus points if you can vary the ornament sizes. From here, you can start wiring these together to create a large ornament garland in your tree. Plus, doing it in smaller chunks will also mean it's easier to adjust as you go, and that's always nice. If you don't do it this way, or you start with clusters that are too big, you won't be able to properly stick them in the tree, and it will always just look more awkward.
Practically speaking, when I add these big pieces in my tree, I like to use floral wire because that way you just know they're secure and they're not gonna fall out. So get yourself some floral wire, get yourself some wire cutters, start wiring away. It's the way to go. However, when you wire these things in, what I do is I leave the wires extra long until I 100% know those things are right where I want, and then I go in after the fact and I trim all the wires down. It's just, you never want to, wire it in, cut it all down, and then look back and go, I think I want to move it up a couple inches. Spare yourself the headache of that. Trust me, how I know. Guys, this is my favorite because I think this is actually the key to getting that designer custom look. It's all about picks and sprays, baby.
All right, so I've already shown you guys how I would put in picks if I didn't have these stiff branches, but I want to show you how I'm going to do it since I do. The first thing is when you get your picks and stems, they usually come like this, which is like flat as a board, and that's not going to work for anyone. The first thing that you want to do is bend a big curve into the main stem of the branch. I oftentimes do it such that it's kind of swooping back, but sometimes too I come and I make him curve to the side. And what this does is it automatically transforms this from something that looks really stiff and rigid and unnatural into something that is dynamic and really beautiful when you stick it in your tree. Okay, I got this gentle curve in the stem. And the key here is I want to align this stem with the stem of my tree. And so I'm just going to slide this straight back in here. And with this look in particular, I want these picks to actually kind of spill over the existing branches of this tree. So I'll be making this tree even thicker, if you can believe that. Okay, but here's why the curve is so important. Because I'm going to take this one that doesn't have a curve, and I'm going to stick it straight in the tree like this. Basically the same process, except now, do you see how you can see straight into the tree still? That's not nearly as pretty, and it's going to create this disrupted effect where you've got the prettiness on top of the branch, but when you're looking at the tree, like you guys are just doing now, and like you commonly do when you're like sitting down on your living room couch, you're going to see underneath the tree and it's going to look really jarring. So always add the curve.
If you actually notice, I'm using the same tree as I did last year, but I've achieved a completely different look because I've added in all of these picks and sprays. And this applies, by the way, not just to your tree, but to all your garlands, all your wreaths, all your swags, all of the things. And it's wonderful because the key to a designer look isn't necessarily by getting a bunch of really fancy picks and sprays. I mean, by all means, go ahead and do it, but it's through how you combine them.
Now this year with this tree, I'm doing a pretty monochromatic look, so I'm not going to be doing a variety of colors. Here, however, I'm using texture. What I like to do is I always like to start with what I consider my base. And guys, these are not expensive items. So you've already seen me add these. Then I've got a couple more of these individual leaves, and then these slightly more flocked pieces. Individually, none of these look particularly amazing. In fact, they're all really cheap. I think these are even like close to like 10 cents a piece. Like, it's ridiculous. And these are maybe close to 2, right? So pretty cheap as far as picks and stems are concerned. But the thing is, when you layer them together, this is when it starts to look good. So then these are gonna become my base. This is what I have most of. But then on top of that, I've chosen a few items that are more expensive that are gonna elevate the entire look. So first off, I found these. Aren't these just amazing? So they look like ferns and they have this slightly frosted look to them. I thought they were just so beautiful. And you can see already the diversity of the texture really starts to make this look come to life. And then on top of this, I found these. Now, these were actually sections of a garland that I cut up, believe it or not. But you can see, all of a sudden it comes to life.
Number 5, add more lights. I don't care what kind of tree you have. Sorry. Here's the reality of the situation. You could have the viral Grand Duchess Home Depot tree that has like 2 million lights on it or something. Okay, but as soon as you add stuff to your tree, ribbon, ornaments, picks, whatever you put at the top, that is going to block the light. That's just facts. If you look at an ornament when it's on the tree, you'll notice the inside of the ornament is lit, but the outside that you actually see is not. So this means for me that the ideal perspective to view a Christmas tree through is actually your cat, right? The cat that wanders in the Christmas tree, they have the right idea because they're actually seeing the full display going on, but you're not. And so this is why I don't care how many lights you have on your tree, because I know that as soon as you put decorations in your tree, you are gonna block a lot of the light and create dark spots in your tree. And maybe this isn't super noticeable during the day, but I assure you that this matters a ton at night. Also, while I was adding lights this year, I stumbled upon a new tip, and that is to wear a sweatshirt so you can stick the lights inside that big pocket and free up your hands. I found this especially helpful when working on the top of the tree because you're on the ladder and the whole situation. Oh, and in case you're not sold at this whole adding lights to your tree situation, just look at the before and after images here. To me, there's a pretty clear winner. Finally, we've gotten to the ornaments, right? I think one of the easiest ways to elevate your Christmas tree is paying attention to how you hang your ornaments. Take a look at this ornament, for example. It's a beautiful handmade glass ornament, but look at the string that comes with it. Now, this might not seem like such a big deal with just one ornament, but I assure you that when you hang all of your ornaments on your tree this way, it will add up and make your tree look more visually cluttered. So here's what I do. Well, actually first, if you have a toddler or a cat who is eagerly willing to knock your ornaments off, here's what to do. Take that string these ornaments comes with and wrap the ornaments around the branch, getting closer to the center of the tree with each twist. Your cat or toddler will not be able to knock the ornaments off your tree now. I mean, I can't speak if they knock the whole tree down, but you get the point. However, to create a more seamless look, here are some of my other methods. First, cut off this string and say goodbye to it forever. Now, if you want to hang the ornaments really low, I'd recommend using clear nylon thread if you don't want to see the strings, or you can use ribbon with little bows as well. I think that's always a beautiful look. But sometimes I want my ornaments to hang much closer to the branch. In this case, I used the basic ornaments hooks, either green or silver, depending on the circumstance of which would be less noticeable. But if I still want the ornament to be even tighter to the branch, I will either rebend the ornament hook to hang it closer, or if this still isn't enough, I will straight up use floral wire to make the ornament look super snug to the branch. The method that I use is dependent on the style of tree I'm going for and my personal preference, but I do know that paying a little extra attention to how I hang my ornaments goes a long way each year. Actually, can we talk though for a second about P.O.P.D? I think that is what it is. P.O.P.D, perfect ornament placement disorder. And I want to talk to you guys about this because I am also a perfectionist. And so I totally understand the obsession with getting your ornaments to be perfectly placed and distributed. However, if you are a person who suffers with P.O.P.D, you know that it is impossible. You are never going to get your ornaments perfectly distributed because you're working on this odd 3D object with probably an odd amount of ornaments too, let's be honest. So here's how I think about it instead. First off, when you decorate your tree, there is going to be a period after which I just accept that because I care, I'm gonna wanna go around and constantly rearrange the ornaments. So to me, that is not a disorder. That is just a sign that I care and I accept it. I accept that as part of the Christmas decorating journey that I'm on. But two, I never try to get these ornaments to be perfect. That's not my goal. I'm trying to find little moments, little places where each ornament can be celebrated. Think about it this way, like when you go outside and you look at a tree, you don't look at that tree and go, oh man, it would look more even, honestly, and more proportionate if there was a branch on the other side. No, you don't think that at all, do you? Because there's something so beautiful about nature and the shape of it and the organicness of it. And guys, I'm gonna remind you here, we're trying to decorate a tree. So when I decorate my tree, I'm always trying to find little moments. How do I do this? I pick 2 or 3 perspectives. So the first one is always gonna be when you first walk into the room from the main entrance, what do I see? Right? And this is important because it's like, this is also what your guests are gonna see. Where is a ornament that I can put right front and center that's gonna be, you know, well celebrated and acknowledged and visible? But then I also think about, okay, but how am I going to actually look at the tree when I'm sitting down on my couch? Or maybe the third vantage point is the chair in the corner. Literally, when I decorate, I will put ornaments on the tree and then I will go back and I will sit down on the couch and look up at it and go, okay, but where is there a space from this particular angle that there needs to be a little extra something? That's the framework with which I try to add ornaments to the tree. And then from there, it's all about depth, right? So I'm trying to add ornaments far into the tree and then far on the tips of the branches. And then I'm thinking about these beautiful layering moments. So maybe I have a darker ornament in the back of the tree. So that means, can I add something shiny and shimmery on top of it, in front of it? And that's how you get the designer look, right? Because it's about these beautiful combinations and the layers. And that's really what creates this very beautiful, beautiful designer tree. Step number 7, you may be thinking, now what else is there to even add at this point? But hold on, because this is where you add the magic. I call this frosting the edges. So in this tree, I used like icicles and these jewel ornaments, these crystal ornaments that I've had from years past. But this could be many other things too. I mean, these could be little garlands. These could be little beads and things that you wouldn't see if you were looking from the tree far away. But if you're looking up close, these are all the details that just really make it so special. And this year with my tree, I actually intentionally extended the width of the tree even more than normal by adding these sticks such that I could hang these sort of icicle things even farther out and create this even more expanded dynamic look. And I think it just turned out so fabulous. And step number 8 is, I think, something that a lot of people don't do, but I think it's something that designers almost always do. And that is they pay attention to what's around the base of the tree. So, I mean, yes, this is, your tree skirt and whatever you want. However, what I'm talking about is not that. I'm talking about, are there fake presents under the tree? Are there, those like globes? I've seen those all over and I actually really like them. Or there are some places that have these like extra large jingle bells. I think those are really cool. Also, like, do you have a train going around your tree? By the way, since I'm talking about the whole Christmas train thing, I have to give a shout out to my grandfather because he does like a massive, what he calls candy train every year for Christmas. And just know that he's got all of us beat in this department. He's already been way ahead of us the entire time. But anyways,
this year what I did was I just took these lanterns and oh, this was one of my favorite DIYs I think that I did this year. I took these 2 lanterns that I got pretty cheap from Hobby Lobby, and they were originally this really shiny, bright yellow gold. And I spray painted them with, I don't really know what it was. I'm gonna have to go look back on it, but it was this sort of metallic brown spray paint, and I stood back really far and I just gave it the most light little dusting, and I think they turned out fantastic. Anyways, so I put these lanterns beside the tree. I put some fake candles in them. I put little bows around the tops. And I think when you stand back, it really just completes the look. And again, I think so much about this designer look, what does that even really mean? I think so much of it is just, does it look intentional? Does it look thought out? And ideally beautiful too, but putting things besides your tree that are staged before you kind of fill everything in that space out with presents. I think it's one of the easiest ways to get that designer look at the end of the year, and a lot of people forget about this part.
Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. And if you found this video helpful or inspiring, I would so appreciate it too if you gave this video a like, or maybe even shared this video with a friend. Regardless, I will look forward to seeing you next time, where I will be decorating my entire living room for Christmas, and I cannot wait to show you how the whole room turned out.
So how does it make you feel knowing that your antlers are on backwards? Yeah, me too.